Hello, and welcome. Please make yourself comfortable by the fire. Tonight, I'd like to share one of the most remarkable journeys recorded in the book of Acts. In Acts chapter 27, we follow the Apostle Paul as he is taken by ship toward Rome. What begins as an ordinary voyage soon becomes a desperate struggle for survival. Luke, who traveled with Paul, describes a violent storm unlike anything the sailors had expected day after day. Fierce winds drove the ship across the sea. The sun and stars disappeared from sight, and before long, hope itself began to fade among everyone on board. But it is often in our darkest storms that God prepares to reveal His greatest faithfulness. While fear surrounded the ship, Paul remained calm. He reminded those aboard that God had not abandoned them and encouraged them to take heart. Before anyone ate, Paul took bread, gave thanks to God in the presence of them all, broke it, and began to eat. His simple act of faith strengthened everyone around him, and hope returned where despair had once taken hold. As we begin this journey together, remember these words spoken by those who witnessed another storm long before. Who then is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? Now let us open the scriptures together and hear the story of Acts chapter 27. Peace be with you, my friend.
Hello, my friends, and welcome. I'm Aria Grace. Come, let's gather by the campfire and journey through God's word together. And when it was determined that we should sail into Italy, they delivered Paul and certain other prisoners unto one named Julius, a centurion of Augustus's band. And entering into a ship of Adramyttium, we launched, meaning to sail by the coasts of Asia, one Aristarchus, a Macedonian of Thessalonica, being with us. And the next day we touched at Sidon, and Julius courteously entreated Paul, and gave him liberty to go unto his friends to refresh himself. And when we had launched from thence, we sailed under Cyprus, because the winds were contrary.
And when we had launched from thence, we sailed under Cyprus, because the winds were contrary. And when we had sailed over the sea of Cilicia and Pamphylia, we came to Myra, a city of Lycia. And there the centurion found a ship of Alexandria sailing into Italy, and he put us therein. And now we had sailed slowly many days, and scarce were come over against Cnidus. The wind not suffering us, we sailed under Crete over against Salmone. And, hardly passing it, came unto a place which is called the Fair Havens, nigh Rehunto was the city of Lasea.
Now when much time was spent, and when sailing was now dangerous, because the fast was now already past, Paul admonished them, and said unto them, Sirs, I perceive that this voyage will be with hurt and much damage, not only of the lading and ship, but also of our lives. Nevertheless, the centurion believed the master and the owner of the ship, more than those things which were spoken by Paul. And because the haven was not commodious to winter in, the more part advised to depart thence also, if by any means they might attain to Phoenice, and there to winter, which is an haven of Crete, and lieth toward the southwest and northwest.
And when the south wind blew softly, supposing that they had obtained their purpose, losing thence, they sailed close by Crete. But not long after there arose against it a tempestuous wind called Euroclydon. And when the ship was caught, and could not bear up into the wind, we let her drive. And running under a certain island which is called Clauda, we had much work to come by the boat, which when they had taken up, they used helps undergirding the ship, and fearing lest they should fall into the quicksands, strake sail, and so were driven.
And we being exceedingly tossed with a tempest, the next day they lightened the ship. And the third day we cast out with our own hands the tackling of the ship. And when neither sun nor stars in many days appeared, and no small tempest lay on us, all hope that we should be saved was then taken away.
But after long abstinence, Paul stood forth in the midst of them and said, Sirs, ye should have hearkened unto me, and not have loosed from Crete, and to have gained this harm and loss. And now I exhort you to be of good cheer, for there shall be no loss of any man's life among you, but of the ship. For there stood by me this night the angel of God, whose I am, and whom I serve, saying, Fear not, Paul, thou must be brought before Caesar. And lo, God hath given thee all them that sail with thee. Therefore, keep up your courage, men, for I trust in God that it will turn out exactly as I have been told. Yet we are destined to run aground on some island. Though the storm continued to rage around them, Paul spoke with unwavering confidence. His hope was not in the ship nor in the sea, but in the promise God had given him. The journey was not over, and danger still lay ahead. But God's word would not fail. On the 14th night, as the storm continued to drive them across the sea, about midnight, the sailors sensed they were drawing near to land. They took soundings and found the water to be 20 fathoms deep. A short time later they measured again, and it was only 15 fathoms. Fearing they would be dashed against the rocks, they dropped 4 anchors from the stern and prayed for the coming of daylight. As the sailors were preparing to abandon the ship, they lowered the lifeboat into the sea, pretending they were going to let down anchors from the bow. But Paul saw through their plan and said to the centurion and the soldiers, Unless these men remain with the ship, you cannot be saved. Without hesitation, the soldiers cut the ropes that held the lifeboat and let it drift away. As dawn approached, Paul urged everyone to eat. For 14 days, he said, you have waited in constant suspense and have gone without food. Now I urge you to take some nourishment. It is for your own preservation, for not one of you will lose a single hair from your head. After Paul had spoken these words, he took bread, gave thanks to God before them all, broke it, and began to eat. Then everyone was encouraged and took some food themselves. Altogether, there were 276 people aboard the ship. When they had eaten enough, they lightened the vessel by throwing the remaining grain into the sea. At daybreak, they saw a bay with a sandy beach, and they decided to run the ship ashore if they could. When daylight came, they did not recognize the land, but they saw a bay with a sandy beach and decided to run the ship ashore if they could. Cutting loose the anchors, they left them in the sea. At the same time, they untied the ropes that held the rudders and hoisted the foresail to the wind, making for the beach. But the ship struck a sandbar and ran aground. The bow became firmly lodged and would not move, while the stern was broken apart by the relentless force of the waves. The soldiers planned to kill the prisoners, fearing that some might swim away and escape. But the centurion, determined to spare Paul's life, prevented them from carrying out their plan. He ordered those who could swim to jump overboard first and make for land. The rest were to follow on planks and other pieces of the broken ship. And so it came to pass that every one of them reached the shore safely, just as God had promised through his servant Paul. The storm has passed. The ship that carried them is broken, but every life promised to Paul has reached the shore. They sailed through darkness, they endured fear, hunger, wind, and sea. And when all hope of being saved seemed lost, the promise of God remained. Acts 27 does not leave us with an unbroken ship. It leaves us with something greater, a promise fulfilled. 276 souls entered that storm. 276 souls were brought safely to land. And perhaps that is where we should leave them, standing upon the shore, looking back at the sea they thought would become their grave. The storm had its voice, the waves had their strength, but neither had the final word. God did. From all of us here in the village, thank you for joining us for Acts 27. Until we gather again, peace be with you.